Police are telling people to stay out of the area. Their biggest concern is that somebody's going to get hurt. Sharp objects like this are covering the roads, large debris everywhere. There's even nails sticking out of plywood. Police did say that no shots were fired during the robbery and that no injuries were reported. I'm in the Google Media filing room where just moments ago presidential candidate Dr. Ben Carson walked through. We probably don't even realize we're doing it, but most of us look at our smartphones as many as 150 times a day. At the beginning of the project, TxDOT says it was an estimated $9.5 million. But with a few changes made along the way, they say that number has gone up to $13.2 million. Police say the skimmers go inside the pumps, so when you go to pay, all the information from your card goes straight to the device. Residents say they have to drive up onto the curbs and through parking spaces to keep from damaging their cars on the busted concrete. The cemetery is located just over the tree line right here, but because of these privately owned roads, family members can no longer get to it. The waiver was originally set up as a 5-year program that started in September of 2011. Police say around 9:20 this morning, 2 men wearing black masks walked through the front doors of the bank with pistols in their hand and demanded money.
I'm glad I wasn't here about 5 minutes before now, because I might have been in the middle of it.
Hardy Whedon says he pulled up to Commerce National Bank just moments after it had been robbed.
I pulled up here to the bank to go in, and before I could get out of my truck, this policeman pulled up and told me to stay in my truck. And I didn't know what was going on until the second policeman drove up, and he came over to my truck and told me that it had been robbed.
Police say the suspects got away with money, but aren't saying how much.
They left, headed towards the west, towards the Holiday Inn Express, in what we believe was a black, possibly just a dark-colored Chevrolet hatchback, and we think that they were possibly being followed by a second vehicle.
Those vehicles took off on Highway 6, headed south. Police caught up with them near Highway 105 in Navasota. That's where News 3 saw a rifle and red duffel bag being pulled from that dark-colored Chevy. There was one man in each vehicle who were both arrested.
I've been banking this bank a long time, It just surprised me, that they got robbed, this time of the morning, right after they opened.
Police did say that no shots were fired during the robbery and that no injuries were reported, but they haven't said anything about the missing handguns. Live in College Station, Brooke, Wellborn, News 3.
There was a huge hole on the top of the house, which you can see, and then we actually ended up having 3 more holes in the surrounding area of the house.
The chimney had fallen on the house and it had broken through, and inside you could see where the framing had been busted and several of the sheetrocking areas were destroyed.
Sisters who lived as neighbors now supporting one another after their homes were destroyed.
We're able to lean on each other. We have a very good understanding of what the other one's going through.
Now one is looking for FEMA assistance.
Just makes it that much harder to get the work done when you don't have, deep pockets or whatever to pull that money from.
FEMA is warning those who were affected by the recent storms about scams that could cost them hundreds of dollars.
No one who has been sent on behalf of FEMA business is ever going to charge you any money. All FEMA services are free.
The Small Business Administration is also working to assist homeowners, renters, and business owners with loans.
A lot of people will say, I don't want a loan. I've got enough loan already. That we recommend still that they apply for their loan, get their application in before the deadline, and then you can use the money or not. If you decide you need the money, then you only pay back what you actually borrow.
As for Brandy Hendricks, she's grateful for the help over the last 2 weeks.
That every little person that came by and helped and did something in their own way was more gratifying and more appreciated, and it's something that I will never forget.
In Bryan, Brooke, Wellborn, News 3. An emergency C-section for Jenna Spencer was just the beginning of a long journey for she and her twins.
Her esophagus was not attached. It is attached to her trachea. And she was rushed to Temple because they don't have neonatal surgeons here.
This left Spencer and her husband driving nearly 90 miles back and forth from Baylor Scott and White Medical Center in College Station to McLean Children's in Temple to be with both of their newborns. But the technology of the NICView camera is what they're calling a lifesaver.
Being a first-time mom to twins and having them split up was devastating enough. And then having to choose which one I needed to be there for the most was even harder. And having the camera didn't make me choose.
NICView allows them to log in to the internet anywhere, and they can see their baby in the NICU and see how they're doing.
The cameras take quick still images of the baby and post them online where families can log on and watch their progress.
19 years ago, my daughter was in the NICU for 9 weeks, and she was an hour away from me, and I didn't have this technology. And for me, I think it's just huge to be able to still have that connection and that bond.
Whether it be 11 o'clock at night or 4 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the morning, whenever I got up, I would log in and look at him.
The NICU's had the cameras for nearly 2 months and say they've helped about 20 families.
It's just a service that I feel like we can provide that keeps families and babies closer and closer together.
As for Spencer,
It's a lifesaver.
in College Station, Brooke Wellborn, News 3.
I can tell you the mail at the house is still very inconsistent. We don't know if it's going to be 1 o'clock in the afternoon or 8, 9 o'clock at night before the mail gets there.
But that's not the only mail service problems this College Station business owner is facing. He says he can't rely on his P.O. box either.
And it is the most unreliable mail I've ever seen in my life. One example of some problems we've been having, mailed out a letter with some insurance documents to my insurance company. But almost 6 weeks later, the letter was returned to me.
We filed an open records request with the post office, and they gave us copies of these documents showing more than 3,700 complaints in the last year from Brazos County residents about their mail service.
It's extremely disappointing. I'm a veteran of the U.S. military, and it's actually embarrassing to see a government agency conducting themselves like this.
For perspective, there were an average of about 10 complaints about postal service in the Twin Cities each day in 2015. Some of the most common complaints are delivery to the wrong address and mail not having been received even though the post office says it's been delivered. One complaint written to the post office filed on January 1st said, "I have shipped out a package earlier in December. It says on December 17th it was out for transit. This is an item someone has purchased and they still have not received it."
It would be nice to have someone somewhere send someone down to College Station and evaluate the way things run.
Brooke Wellborn, News 3.